Okay, we're back.
We are back. Back with a
What are
vengeance.
you gonna do for us today?
What am I going to do? Oh, you can see the screen. Nice. Well, I think we discussed about this before, but one of the things that we've done in the past, and we're going to do today as well, is taking older apps and moving them into the latest when it comes to identity. So in this instance, you might see this nice green notification at the top. Let me zoom in a little bit. It says, we found potential security vulnerabilities in your dependencies. So about a month ago, I got a nice email from our Microsoft IT team saying one of your GitHub repos contains confidential information. In effect, you screwed up, so go and fix it ASAP and let us know about it. It's like, oh my God, I must have done something awful. And I had done something awful in one of my files. I think it was in the service or the web app. I had my client secrets. I think it was in the app, in the web app. And I was like, oh damn. Obviously that app registration is way too old. I wiped it out a long time ago, so technically there was nothing there to worry about. But nonetheless, I removed it eventually. But nonetheless, I think if I go back into history, you can see it. I was like, damn, I screwed up. So I went and fixed it. But then I thought, you know what, that's a very old project. And by old, I mean 3 year old. So that's a .NET Core project that I did at some point for some customer. And I think I even stole some sample that we had. So I forked that and I copied it across. And I was thinking, what is it going to take this older project and migrate it to the Microsoft.Identity.Web? Because all the authentication code I had, and there's a lot of authentication code there, even for .NET Core, was a bit of a mess and it was way too complex. And I thought, what would be the value of me upgrading to that project? So I thought that we should do that today. We can take the old code, which I have here in front of me. So let me close this one down. See what we don't need, and then see what we can do. I wish your stream was 1080. Are we not streaming at 1080?
Yeah, it's at 1080 out. I don't know if something's going on.
So the text was not so blurry. Is my text blurry?
Oh, it is. It's interesting. It says max quality is 720. I don't know why that is.
Is it my settings?
No, I think it might be a restream thing. Let me see.
So we fix it on the fly?
I will try to fix it on the fly.
Okay, folks, thanks for letting us know for the quality. Is it just now or was it before? I mean, before we're not setting any screens, so I wonder if that was the case. We're not setting any code. But when you stream this one, JP, it's better, isn't it?
No, I mean, we're at 10,000K per second and 1080 going to restream. I don't know why it's only going 720 to Twitch.
Is it a Twitch setting? No, we have max capabilities in Twitch, right? In the stream manager, anyway.
We don't normally. It usually is 1080. I don't know why it's different today. I don't know. It's kind of weird. I don't see an option in.
Do you want to share your screen? I wonder if you share your screen, it would be better. Do you want
no,
to
I mean I don't.
No?
I'm saying that in the Twitch doesn't show a 1080 option. It doesn't show the source option, which normally is normally in video quality it'll say 1080p 60 source, and I don't see 1080p 60. I only see 720p 60. Although it doesn't say source there either. Okay. So I don't know. I wonder if we're getting maybe a bunch of people are streaming today. Like I don't know. It seems kind of weird. I'm looking at it on YouTube, and on YouTube, it looks like it is. On YouTube, it is 1080p 60. So I don't know.
Okay.
It's kind of weird. I don't know why it's. Maybe just make your text bigger, and if you have a light theme, that might make it easier to read since the resolution is low. I don't know.
Let's change the theme. Oh, what was it? I don't remember how I changed my theme now. Is it
Twitch? Twitch is also telling us that our average stream bitrate is too high, so maybe that's why they're maybe that's why they're doing it. Maybe 10,000 K is too big, or they're just having issues today. I don't know.
Could be. How do I change my theme again? Let's do.
Let me I'll lower the bitrate while we're here. So
Solarized light. There you go. Is that better? Let us know.
I can't change it.
Oh no.
Can't change it while I'm here.
No.
Oh yeah, I can. It's in the encoder.
Okay.
So let me change it to. Let me just drop the bitrate a little bit and see if that gets it to 1080p.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's definitely, that's a new one because we're normally in 1080p.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed.
Anyway,
well, thanks for letting us know. I think the white theme is doing slightly better work there.
Maybe zoom in another click.
Really? Damn it.
Well, not into the whole interface, just in the.
Okay.
Just in the code window.
Just a code window. How about that?
Well, that's smaller than it was. So.
Is it small?
The code window isn't any bigger.
How do you zoom in on the window again? Is it control
mouse wheel?
I am. I think I'm maxed out.
Control plus, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's fine. Whatever.
Control plus does the whole thing.
People can see it on YouTube, so that's fine.
Yeah. Sorry for that. Not our fault though. So this old application had quite a bit of code here, and you can see it's using the old add Azure AD, add authentication, add Azure AD, and then there were quite a few files looking at the authentication. We had controllers, we had an account controller dedicated to the sign in and sign out, doing all the work. We had some extensions, so there was an Azure AD authentication builder extension that was doing all the hard lifting. Then there was an Azure AD options that was taking the config settings and was serializing into a DTO so we could use it later. There was a utils class as well for caching because the older OIDC provider for .NET did not provide a cache, so you had to create your own caching provider. So I was like, man, that's a lot of code. I couldn't even remember writing all that. And I was thinking, how much is it going to take to actually look? It's even using Bower back in the good old days of Bower stuff and bundle config. So with that, I thought, you know what? Let's do a few changes here. Obviously, one of the things that we want to change is the target framework. So we're going to target .NET 5. And then we don't need to use secrets anymore because we don't want to store anything in the local secrets. There is an app registration, which let me just go into that very, very quickly. So here is my, this one, where's my browser? So many browser windows. There you go, found it. So here is my Azure AD. Let's zoom in, and I think I have an app registration that corresponds to that code. So to find that, we have to go into the app settings, JSON. I don't have my client ID here. Interesting. Which one is this one? This one is the web app. Okay. So we'll need to add one for the web app. So for that to work, let me see which one I want to use. I had already one there somewhere. Let me find that. So we want a client ID is this one here. There you go. And if I open my browser now, we'll find it here. I hope. Oh, you know what? That's not the right tenant. I'm using a different tenant. That's why. So let me just come out here. Is it this one? Not the Contoso. That's the one. Nope, I need to remember my password. Let me find that very, very quickly. Man, I feel rusty after 2 weeks off and not touching my computer. I need to remember where things are. That's my password for this one. I have a crazy long password somewhere in my password manager. That's where it comes from. And now I have two-factor authentication after a very long time. 515056. Yes, we're good with that. Azure Active Directory. So this is my test tenant. In case you didn't know, you can spin up a test tenant for Office 365 that gives you data and sample data for graph and what have you, and also gives the ability to test things like this, like creating authentication and authorization at the back of your code. So here, let me find my app registration. No, nice. I need to change that. Oh God, I got doxed. I doxed myself.
Can you zoom in?
Okay.
Nobody can
Zoom
read
in
it.
more?
Yeah.
Can you read it now? Okay. So we have the MVC web. This is an MVC application that we're working on. And if we look at the authentication, it's already been configured to use the localhost 5001 sign-in OIDC. It's a web app. No access or ID tokens, obviously, because we're not using implicit flow. And the app registration is ready to go. I think there is an API permission here as well, so we can speak to our backend API. That's our MVC API, which we'll go and check in a bit. But it has one scope only, and that's access as user, so we can securely access our API. So here, why is it yellow? Anyway, here let's go to the web app first. Let's start with the web app. So first and foremost, let's hide the utils and the extensions and the controllers. We'll fix this in a bit. So what we need here obviously is to target .NET 5. So let's go into the CS Prods. CS Prods here. Net 5.0, isn't it? What? No. Autocomplete. Failure. Net 5.0, if I remember correctly. I don't think I need the user secrets, and I don't need the web project access level key. So let's simplify this. ASP NET Core all, and then we have CLI references. We can leave this there for now. That needs to be changed, actually, isn't it? The ASP NET Core reference. Let me see what that should be. Is 5.0. Actually, no. You know what? In .NET 5, that's not required. But we do need a package reference. So we need package reference include, and we have a couple of classes that we need to include. We'll start with the Microsoft.Identity.Web, so Microsoft.Identity.Web, and that'll be version. I think the latest is 1.4.0. Is that all right? Which got released just before Christmas. And with that, we got better logging for Microsoft.Identity.Web. Package reference next include. We need to add one for the UI. So this gives us the core middleware stuff that we need to work with. And the UI package is the one that allows us to navigate to the sign in and sign out. It brings the views that we need for working with the account management or the identity. So Microsoft.Identity.Web.UI. I think they match in version, they should match in version. So here we have 1.4.0 in quotes. There you have it. And then there are two more packages that we need to bring in. One is the JWT bearer, and the other one is the OpenID Connect for 5.0. So there you have it. And I don't think I need to include anything else. Code generation tools. Maybe we'll leave that one. And for that, I think the version is 4.2. I think it moved on a little bit, so let's see what the version should be like. It's 2.0.4. So in 4 years, we went up in 4 minor. Is that the minor version? The last digit there? Should be right. 2.0.4. And obviously if I save that one, then it will, if it tries to build, then it will fail miserably. Restore, let's restore these. There will be a lot of problems here. 59, but let's ignore them for now. We don't have to worry about that. We will go and fix things as we go. So next thing that we need to fix is the app settings. Let's slightly fix these. Obviously login on Microsoft.com, that's right. But the domain is not correct. So we have cmatchkas, which is my domain. If you're wondering where I got this from, it came from here inside my domain. So my overview for my Active Directory. Where's the overview? Then app registrations and endpoints. Where do I get my? It's up there. cmatchkas on Microsoft.com. So we have that, which is correct. Then we need to add the tenant ID, which we need to go and get. Then we have the client ID and the callback path, which should be right. I can remove the client secret. I don't need that anymore. So the tenant ID, let's go and grab that from our app registration. So it was MVC Web, I think. Yeah, MVC Web. The directory tenant ID is here, so let's copy that across. And then we have the client ID, which again is part of the app registration. So back into our app registration, we grab that, stick into the code. And just to make sure, callback path is signed in OIDC. And here, no comments in JSON, don't work. So save this one, but what do we need to do? Just make sure that this is correct. So if we go back to our app registration, again, we've already shown that, but to make sure it's the sign in OIDC as part of the direct URI. This is where we will receive our tokens back. Okay, so that is that. Let's make sure that we are, let me hide that. So for now, don't need to change anything else. Let's keep it at that. Now back into the startup.cs. This is where all the magic is going to take place. We can probably remove quite a few things here. So if I look, some of the namespace references can go. We don't need these because these are the old ones. If I can just do that. And we need Microsoft.Identity.Web, and we'll need the UI as well. Obviously we're not using them right now, so they're commented out. And in here we need to remove the add authentication. So the services.add Microsoft web app authentication, and we'll reference the configuration. Yep, we'll reference the configuration there. Now, if you leave it like that, then the assumption is that, why is this not resolved? What's the problem here? We did do a restore, didn't we? Process P, sorry. Terminal .NET restore. Should have restored everything. So why is this one grayed out? Does not contain a definition for Microsoft Web App Authentication. Huh. Microsoft Identity. Why do you not like me? What does it say? Yes, I am using Microsoft.Identity.Web. Do you think it's oh, there you go. A result now, which is nice. Let me hide this for now so we can have more space. Now, the thing here is that by default for now, Microsoft.Identity.Web is actually using implicit flow. So if we were to run this right now, obviously it's not going to run, but it will break because it doesn't know how to, it's not using the code response type, right? So for that, for now, we have to configure that and explicitly add this information. So to do that, we need to configure it. So it's services.configure. But I think this is going to go away. Is that correct, JP? This is going to be resolved with subsequent releases, right? Options. JP's busy over there.
No, so there's a question. I guess we'll take a second. We'll answer it from BSD guys. So the question's around session and management of those sessions. And so the thing about it is the session itself is specific to a machine, specific to a server, right? And so any of the in-memory session stuff is sticky to that machine. So if you've got multiple nodes, or if you have ephemeral nodes, like if you're hosted in App Service or Elastic Beanstalk or something, those aren't going to persist. And so there are some load balancers that will do things like sticky sessions where they will always try to push you to a specific node, the last node that you use, so that your data would be there. But the most reliable way to do it is to take your session data and put it into somewhere more persistent. So you could use like SQL, you could use a Redis cache, you could use any number of different things to store the session data. And then what essentially gets dropped on the user's box is a cookie, and that cookie has the session ID in it. So if you're beyond development, if you're not just working locally or on a single node, and even if you are on a single node, memory session is not going to be reliable. So you'd have to essentially you'll need to rehydrate that session at any given point, because at any time it could go away if the app pool recycles or if the web server itself recycles. So what we would suggest is, if you need session, because there may also be an argument that you don't necessarily need a session, you may want to use something different. If you're using session and you need it to persist and you're in multiple nodes, use something out of band like SQL or Redis or whatever. When we're using ASP NET Identity, which is essentially what Identity.Web does, when you're using ASP NET Identity, you'll get a cookie, and that cookie can be used. And that cookie has really all the data it needs. So there's no extra data server side that it would use to look it up. So once you sign in, you're signed in, and then that cookie's got enough data to sort of rehydrate your user session, if you want to call it session, because it's session with a capital S is a very different thing than just a lowercase s of the concept of a user using your app over a period of time. So at the bare minimum, you don't need session just to get a user signed in, because ASP.NET Identity will use a cookie for that. But if you do have session data that you need to store, or if you're caching tokens, for example, to access other APIs, those are all going to need some kind of external out-of-band session to do it. And then the cookies themselves, so historically, anybody who's familiar with IIS would probably remember the days of having to synchronize machine keys so that your cookies could be read by any nodes in the farm. And services like App Service, that's all done for you. But of course, you would still need to do that at the base level, just so that those cookies can be reused. Although I'm not sure we still have to do that in ASP.NET Core, but Yeah, so that's the long answer to a short question, I guess. Caparino's curious as to what theme you're using, by the way.
That's a very good question. Do I remember? I don't remember. I have a file, preferences, settings, and then I have a, in terms of theme, I use an extension for the theme.
Yeah. Robertable says the theme is called Never Use Again V2.
Nice. Thank you. It was where's the? Sorry. So down here.
I do like the font.
Thank you. I have bearded theme. It's an extension, so it comes with quite a few colors. Right now, I went to Solarized Light, I think, because we wanted to make sure that it's better. But I can change it to other light themes, like this one. There you go. What about that? Bluish. So you can also call it from there, but obviously I like my dark theme that I had configured before, but it wasn't as visible because of the low res or low stream at 720, so we went with a light theme for now. But thank you for the judgment on my theme. love you guys as well.
Robertable says you've made it worse.
I made it worse?
Pull back.
Pull back. Okay, right.
The judgment is free. That's very true.
Yeah, true.
And there's lots of it. Yep. 1,000 comedians out of work, and this guy tries to be funny.
What was it? Solarized. So let's go with the light default, the one that comes with VS Code. How about that? Now you can judge VS Code theme makers, not me, for choosing it. Right?
What font is that? That is a rather unique font. What is that?
These are rather unique fonts. So let's go into the font. It's a Roboto Mono, Cascadia Code, and Source Code Pro.
Okay.
I took that from a couple of people in the cloud
Roboto,
advocacy team.
Roboto, that was the Android one. That was a big system font in Android for a long time.
See? You know your font history, don't you?
I'm very particular about fonts. Yeah.
Yeah, you're very particular. I like these. They're quite round and easy to read. Obviously, I don't know if they're easy to read over the stream. So if you don't like them, let me know. I can change them for the next time. Obviously, I'm not as fancy as JP, but everybody loves his theme. Nobody loves my theme. I don't feel hurt.
No, that's
right
okay.
now.
I mean, you can use the theme I'm using too. Just accept
No,
that it's
no, I want to be
accept
unique.
that it's better.
Hey, I accept that it's nice. Better, it's
It's electric.
Is it,
anyway,
it is electric. Yeah.
sorry to derail you. Back to what you were doing.
No, it's fine. So right now we have the Microsoft.Identity.Web authentication, which will allow us to authenticate against Azure AD using the current settings. However, I don't know. Should we configure the calling the downstream API now, or should we leave it for later once we prove that this is signing in? I don't know. I haven't run the app in a long time, so I don't know what it's going to do. But
get small bits working first.
Get small bits working, exactly. So next, services.rmbc is not the latest way of doing that. So there's services.add, what's it, controllers with views. And then we want to add session states, 10 data providers. So let me just take that down here. And then at the end, we want to add the add Microsoft Web, it says Microsoft Identity UI, and this might not resolve yet, so let's see what the problem is. Add controllers we used data at Microsoft Identity UI. See, this is where you don't spell that right. There you go, you map it to Microsoft's. And fixed. Voila, services add session, we can leave that there. I think this is iWeb host environment. because it's changed. Environment is development. What does not like here? Does not contain definition is development. Yes, it does. They're lying to me. So use static files, use session should be there. You know what? In production, we should also be using app.use HTS. Here, we want the session, although that comment is not right anymore. What else? Use static files, we want that. We also need redirection. Use HTTPS redirection. These are default that come out from the standard template, so it's not that like .NET 5 added all these things, or over the years we added these things. Routing, we need routing, yeah, we need routing. And then we have the use session, static files, use authentication, obviously we need that one, and use authorization. Typo. And I think that's changed a little bit as well. So that would be use endpoints, then endpoints, or roots, whatever you want to call it. No, nope. Endpoints dot map controller root, because we're using controllers, and we can use the default, and that's not a template anymore, it is a pattern. I think that can stay the same, we don't need to change that one. So that, I just think that this one doesn't like it. Why? I wonder if it's some red herring from IntelliSense.
You put a lot of trust in IntelliSense.
I do indeed.
I don't know. It doesn't seem to work half the time for me, so I guess I've grown to not use it anymore.
We have a duplicate here, we don't want that anymore. So as you can see, we've removed quite a bit of code, but not as much as it seems like it, because obviously a lot of the code that does the authentication is hidden away in other things. So let's go and rip apart some bits that we don't need. First, we don't need the account controller, right? Because that is built into the Microsoft.Identity.Web. So from a controller perspective, we don't need that anymore because it will be handled by the Microsoft.Identity.Web. So let's delete that one. Yes, move to the cycle bin. Then in the extensions, we don't need this anymore. This is the authentication builder. So a lot of the things that we just configured here, and you'll see there's a lot more code. Wow, we have graph in there. I didn't know we were using. Look at that, even AAD graph, not even Microsoft graph. Response type, token and code. So all the things that Microsoft.Identity.Web hides from us and provides by default out of the box, we had to configure in the past ourselves. So there's 85 lines of code that can go right now. So let's delete that one. That goes in the bin. In here as well, in the extensions, we had the Azure AD options. This is just for mapping the configuration settings inside app settings.json into Poco class, but since Microsoft.Identity.Web maps to that directly, we don't really need that. So let's go and wipe this one as well. In fact, let's wipe the whole folder. Yes, we don't need you anymore. So controllers are now much more simple. Models, error view model and to-do item. We'll look at these later because we are pulling that information from the API. Nothing the properties. Oh, properties, let's check the default application URIs. That we want 5001.
Hang on.
What?
I'll be right back. So Apparently, I just got a package from Lithuania. I'll be right back. I don't even know where
What?
Lithuania is. Hang on.
Do you want me to carry on myself? We're still streaming, right? He's gone. Is he gone? Are we taking a break? Let me check my stream to see where we are. No, we are. We are still streaming. So let's move on. No, why they changed this one? Because remember, in the app registration, our web app is configured to use 5001. So if I use the wrong URI, the wrong port, it's going to fail miserably. So let's go back into our code. Let me make this bigger as well so people can see what I'm talking about. So 5001 needs to be 5001. So let's change that one to be 5001. So I did that one. What else will I need to change? Did you get your package? Is he back yet? I'm curious now. He's got a package from Lithuania. Did you get your package back? JP? He's not there. He's not. I am dying with anticipation. So obviously we're not using IIS Express. We'll be using our default Kestrel. So this is where we need to configure that. But sometimes people tend to override that in the program.cs. So here, I haven't overridden anything. It should be as expected. There you have it. Are you back? Did you get your package?
Yeah, it's from the Build Stuff conference. That conference we did at like 3 a.m. Yeah.
Nice, yeah.
Look,
Nice.
there's some chocolate. There's some,
What?
I guess it's Lithuanian chocolate.
How did you get it first? I'm
kind of hungry. Because I'm on the East Coast, so maybe I'm closer.
Dive in. Feel free.
Let's see.
Nothing's stopping you.
Oh, man. I'm hungry, too, so I haven't eaten lunch yet. This looks delicious.
Nice.
And a bread? Ooh, it's still soft. Halfway around the world and it's still soft.
You got bread that is soft? I would be worried about that. Yeah. My wife, we did some burgers, I don't know, a month and a half ago, right? And we got some burger buns from the supermarket. And my wife opened the bread pan today and she realized that we forgot some of these. And she said to me, they're as good as the first day you got them in, which is extremely worrying. They're soft and nice.
I don't speak Russian, though.
Can you
Marzipan?
Google Translate?
Marzipan.
Google Translate? Google Translate, man.
Anyway, sorry.
Right.
Continue.
No, it's fine. We have the identity wired up in the startup. We've removed some code that we don't need anymore. There's a util class that we don't need anymore because Microsoft.Identity.Web comes with its own caching. So we'll delete that one. See how much code we don't have to worry about anymore. And then the views, I think there's an account which we don't need. I think, if I remember correctly, there's a partial class there's a partial view that we need to update. But from a views perspective, I don't think we need the access denied and sign out. Let's leave them there for now. I don't think that we're gonna use them anyway. In the shared layout login partial. Now this is where the trick is. The old one had account. I think the new one is Microsoft Identity. Let's find that out because I don't want to double guessing myself. So if we go into GitHub, so Microsoft.Identity.Web GitHub. No, God, went too fast. GitHub, and I will zoom in. Just give me a second. Oh, it's zoomed in straight away. Okay, so down here, if we go into one of the sample web apps, right? Continue. It's like, oh, that's big. Okay, it's redirecting me. Web app which signs in users, and then obviously my org for now. It's absolutely fine. If we go into our views, just in case you're wondering where you can find it and how it works, in shared we have the login partial. So what we could do is just grab that information here. That should be the same. as is it a nav item? It is slightly not the same. So maybe we can just copy the whole thing rather than just the thing. There you go. Or should I not? I don't know. Should I? Maybe I'll break my web app. Can't remember what it looks like. So if I thinking
well,
now.
That's the login partial, isn't it?
It is, but oh yeah, it shouldn't make any difference, right? I should just copy paste the new one, just this one.
Did you change the? Are you using like the out of the box ASP NET theme? Like
yeah,
the
I think so.
Bootstrap based one.
Yeah.
You should be able to just drop this in then.
Let's drop it in. Dropped. And let's highlight the differences here. So instead of Azure, I think what was it? Azure AD. Control Z. It was account. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that was your code, right?
Yep. And then in the controller, we have account. We don't need to have a physical account controller in our file system. It will use the DLL-based one to provide that information. And then we have a sign out and a sign in that takes us to the right endpoint, which should be the Azure AD endpoints for signing in and signing out. So we don't need to worry about physical account. I'm just leaving these there. They don't do anything for now. And everything else should be the same. So technically, I think we have everything we need to run the app in terms of changes. Let's do a build. Problems 42, that's a little bit annoying. Maybe I should do a clean first. To do controller type clients does not exist. Okay. Open file. Oh, there you go.
MSAL or ADAL.
ADAL. Yes. Good old days. So what do we do here? Let's see. We have authorize, which should be there. Authentication result. We don't need that anymore. Oh wow, whoa, try. Because we signed in, let's see what the code does. Signed in already in the web, the user object is not, oh, is that the controller? Is that the, no, that's the web app. We're still in the web app, so it's fine. User authentication context, oh wow, that's taking the content. Sorry, that's taking the token. So we can go and call into the API. Oh, one more thing here, we don't want to be instantiating this, big no-no, right? So how do we fix this, JP? Remember, we register the HTTP client in the startup, correct?
Yeah, services.add HTTP client.
Yeah,
and if you're not familiar with HTTP client and .NET, you don't want to instantiate them unless you don't want to instantiate them, because if you put them in a using, which of course is what everybody's told us to do for 400 years when you're using disposable objects, if you wrap them in a using, they get disposed of, but the underlying handle to the underlying handle to the socket does not. So, or sorry, the underlying socket itself doesn't get removed. The handle does. So the socket is still there and open, and it's sitting there in time wait. And if you create too many HTTP clients, you'll end up in a place where you have socket exhaustion. And so, on your host, and that causes a bunch of weird behavior. And so, what you really want to do is there are some newer things in .NET Core for adding an HTTP client factory to the services collection, and then you can inject that client factory and create a new client as you need them. And so by doing doing services.add HTTP client, you're really adding a factory, and then you take the factory and create a client off of that.
So it should be HTTP. Should be HTTP.
I think it's IHTTP collection.
Damn you! Yeah, it is. Obviously, we want to inject the, and then that will be HTTP client. See, I even became JP. I did underscore, which is show 1985. See. So that is that. Let me hide that down here. So we need to do a little bit of work here. Now we want to be able to, I don't want the user object. I don't need that. But we do need to acquire a token, right? So we can go and call the API. Now, in the good old days, you had to do all that code here, but we don't have to write anymore because Microsoft.Identity.Web comes with an I token acquisition class, right? So private static I token acquisition, if I can type correctly. Token getter. Ha. Let me resolve that. Token acquisition. Am I missing something? You know, did we miss something from the? Oh, there you go. Interesting. It took a little bit of a while to. There. So the I token acquisition will do the meaningful for us and will resolve the token that we need to get as injected here. So let's inject that one here as well. I token acquisition token. And then down here we do token getter equals token acquisition. Should be it. Why does not like that? There you go. Okay. Sometimes IntelliSense just freaks me out. So down here in the index, we don't need that anymore. Or we need the client because we want to send the async. So we need to grab the token. So get token for user async. Simple as that. And then we just need to pass the scopes. And for the scopes, we just need an IEnumerable string. So new list. Sorry, can type. New list string. And here it's access as user. In case you're wondering where that came from, the access as user, we probably jumped ahead a little bit, but if we go back into our, where's my browser? Here. If we go back into our API, remember, sorry, not the API, but the app registration in the app permissions, we need to get the access as user in order to be able to scope, in order to be able to call the MVC API, because that's expected by the API. So here, let's go back to the code. Access user, and then, wow, I was quite verbose back then. What? Oh, we need to. Do we need to inject the? Should be able to get the. You know what? I know why we need that one, because that's not correct. We need the API in the config. We have this to-do list resource ID. Let me just finish that one. And that's not part of the. So escape that. And then down here, I need to add them here at the root. Because obviously they're not part of the Azure. We don't have that Azure AD object resolver anymore. Although for now, oh God, man, comments in JSON. What was I thinking? And I think that resource ID may have changed because I've changed things. So let's go back into our portal. Let's go into our web. Sorry, the API. Oh wow! When you zoom in, you can barely see things. Let me just close this one and this one, right? So the API has a different application ID, so let's grab that. Because I need to explain why I'm doing this. So in the web, if we look into the API permissions and the access as user, that's the correct one. So that's the one I need to grab, if I remember correctly. So let's ignore that for now. Let's save this. And in here, that's the make it literal, so that will be easier. And then down here, just put the scope there. So we have the scope, we have the token getter, so that should go and get the token for us. And then the HTTP client, we can remove these. So let's remove that. We already have the client up in the there, so let's grab this. And we need to add the default header, so default request headers dot authorization equals new authentication header value, and that should be I missed something here. That's an awaiter, await. So that should be authentication, that should be bearer. So we have bearer, and then token dot, is it token? Should be just token, right? TP, is it just token? Am I correct here? Should be just token. Yeah, should be just token. There. And what this will do is go and get the right access token for us, add it as a bearer to our HTTP call, and then from here we just need to do this. HTTP client. Oh, we don't have the request there. What should be the request? What should the request be? What is the request? Should be. So we need to call our API now. Our API is at port. What port is it? Let's check. App settings there, startup, properties, launch.json, 44351. So that's our API endpoint. So here, back into our to-do controller, into get async. And then that will be HTTPS localhost, because we're running locally, 44351. And what is my endpoint? What is my endpoint? If we go here in our controllers, to-do lists, so that should be to-do lists, API to-do list, right? That should be it. So let's go back into code, API, to-do list. And because I think we only have one method, which is the getter, so that should get whatever we have in that list. Okay. Yeah, man, I've got quite a few things here. JSON serializer. I want to.
There are all sorts of different HTTP clients you can create too, like named ones. Like I know that we do that with the graph and stuff, and Bolt mentioned too, putting the base address in the client, then you don't have to replicate the client over and over again, especially if you're doing it, like if you're configuring that in startup, you create a, configure a named HTTP client and then just refer to it by name. And so so we started the day. We had Joey from the PowerShell team to come on and talk to us about some enhancements that are coming to PowerShell and just sort of state of the ecosystem, which was really cool. And now Christos is migrating an app from .NET Core 2, which did not use Identity.Web, to using Identity.Web. So gutting a lot of the old code and moving it over to use Identity.Web. So that's what we're doing.
Indeed, that's what we're doing. So, we are using system.text.json instead of Newtons.json, and this is the new built-in JSON serializer. Now, in the past, when I was playing around with this one, I came across some issues with the serialization, because Newtons.json is different to JSON.web, system.text.json. So we need to configure some options now, so we don't come across other issues. New JSON serializer options, and then in these options I need to property naming policy equals JSON naming policy dot camel case, and this is because I came across issues before, right? Indented equals true, and I think that we need to pass this, so that will be for the serializer to work. And then down here we have the response, we have the to-do items, and then return view to do lowercase to do items. And obviously I'm a method, because there you go. So we have the response comes back, we get the contents with a string, then we serialize them and then pass them into the to-do item list, which is a key value pair, more or less. Now we don't need all this, so let's move that. Oh, sorry, we had the item list down here. I don't want that. Oh, wow, look at all that code that we can wipe out. Boom. There's more down here. God. Okay, so I think we need to copy what we had before. And what does this one do? This one does the index. Oh, that's the post. Okay, and I think I may have wiped out. Yeah, try. I think we had a try catch. So let's catch the exception instead of wiping out everything. Let's catch the exception as before. That's the exception down here. So now we have a try catch, and I need to close the try. Wow, EE. Look at my old naming there. I don't think we're even using this one. So do we need to keep this one, JP? What do you think? So there's a thrown exception, assuming that, well, we need to reauth if the token expires.
No, it looks like that.
That's all the OpenIDC stuff, right?
No, I don't know what reauth is. My suspicion is that may have been in the old, account controller. That if something had happened, it had this reauth tag that it added in. So yeah, I don't think that's.
Okay, so in that case,
particularly valid.
Well, let's remove that. Let's remove the try as well. And let's make it cleaner. If we need to capture some issues before, then from in fact, we're not even using the item list anymore. So that can go too, because we're turning the to-do items here. Okay, so here we're doing the post. So for the post, we need something similar. Obviously, we need to go and get the access token if we don't have it yet, and then we need to obviously we not check the valid state. So we provided that the user has provided that information. Let's copy the code from before. So that is that. We need this. So there. We go and grab our scope. In fact, we could make that a static further up, but for now, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to remove the tie, and then from here, we want to take the information from the model and send it up. So default request header is there. Let's create a new to-do item. So it has an owner and a title. That's all we need to pass. Title would be what are we passing in? An item. So we're just passing the to-do item. So that will be item. Sorry, the actual to-do string. Right? What do we need to do? And then the owner should be the current user. So user dot get object ID. You like that? Should we use something else there, JP, instead of the object ID? User dot name. Identity?
No, I mean the object ID of the subject is really the thing we should use. So
there you go.
Because that's going to be immutable for that user. Although, depending on the app and depending on the the permissions, right? So the subject, the SUB claim, is that's sort of the always available immutable ID. That's a part of the spec and should always be available.
Yep.
The subject is unique for the application and user pair. So my subject ID will be different between different apps, right? You could also use the object ID. The object ID, in order to get the object ID, that requires the profile scope because you can track a user across multiple apps at that point because their object ID will stay the same. So in most cases, you want to use the subject, but there are certainly cases where the object ID would be appropriate. And internal apps tend to be, and using the object ID in an internal app is pretty common.
Sure.
The subject is sort of use the object if you have to, and if you don't, just use the subject. So.
Right. Okay. So next we need to take that to-do item and make it something that we can send up to the API. So that will be a new string content, I guess. And we need string content. What are the other options there? String content, encoding, okay. Oh, we need to serialize that, don't we? So JSON serializer dot serialize, and then we'll pass the raw to-do item, and then for encoding, should we leave the default, you think? Like, do we even need to pass it? Encoding.
Depends on your API, but usually I do UTF-8 encoding.
Yeah, apparently UTF-16 and 32 are quite a mess to work with.
And then media type is usually application.
JSON, yep. Application. Because that's what's expected by our API.
Yeah, and some APIs are more particular about it than others, but for the most part, that that tends to be fairly universal. I know, like Graph, there's different some APIs will return different data depending on the accepts header. So, like in some cases, you may need to send in accepts because you may get JSON, you may get XML, you may get plain text, all sorts of CSV.
Right.
So.
And if I remember correctly, we also need to set the header, right? Content type.
You shouldn't have to because the string content will do that for you.
You think?
Yeah, I don't think you have to set it.
I'll put
In fact,
there, but
at one point, content type was read-only.
oh, really? Interesting. Is it because it's more about the response?
Well, it's because it's derived from the content you're sending.
Okay.
So, like, if you're using string content and you put the media type header in there, it will and you you put the media type in there, it'll get pushed across. Robertable says he feels like this editor is screaming at him and he hates it.
I'm sorry. I will do whatever I can for. Was it screaming like I'm so good at it, or you should have me, please have me. So let's do, var response equals await, because we need to wait our HTTP client. HTTP client dot post, because we're sending it to the API. And that should be HTTPS local hosts. Can't remember the port, so let's check 44351. Can't believe that it screams to JP. I don't like that. So I'll be to do list. Is that correct? Let's check our controller. Are you having foods? To do lists. Yep. So that's the correct one. Let's hide this so we can have more real estate. To do list. Close this, and then the content. Amply named content as a variable. And then we're doing a check here to see if that worked. Control, so let me just line it up. Remove the comments, I had too many comments there. Redirect to action, and if we failed, return back to return error or something, right? If is another comment for my
No, Bolt said you should return it all and return all the content in wingtips.
We could do that. We have an error there. Let's remove that. Oh, we had downstream. Perfect. What am I missing? Here. Yeah. So if that works, or if this works, do we have anything else to worry about? What are the error messages? Web host does not contain definition is development. What am I missing here?
I don't think it's web host environment. I think it's just host environment now.
Is it?
I think so, but I don't know. Hang on.
Let's go back into the sample, right? Where is the sample? Head up. Makes me cool. Where is it? Where is my... There. So, Microsoft.Identity.Web. Okay, let's go back. Let's go to the sample.
Oh no, it is iWeb host environment.
Am I missing something in terms of namespaces maybe? I don't know. I mean, if it recognizes that, then I don't see why it's complaining about the is... There you go. Is iWeb host environment. Is development. Did I mistype it somehow? Is development. What?
Oh, I don't... It's iWeb host. Yeah, it isn't the other, but...
You know what? I think that my startup needs to be changed. Not the startup, the program needs to change. So let me just go grab that from the URL here. So if I come here, and if I jump into this, what's it? Program.cs. So I'm gonna grab this. Make my life easier. Keep it consistent, because things may have changed between my old 2.0 and 5. So save that. What is missing now? Yeah, we'll use that. Okay. Everything is nice and we don't have any issues. Remove that. We don't need it. And I bet if we go back now, now what? No.
Just build it. I mean, it's just build it. And save your file too, by the way.
Yes. Thank you. I keep on forgetting doing that. Right. .NET build.
There's another error of a missing comma somewhere.
Ooh. Expected comma JSON there. Thank you. That That's also way too far indented, isn't it?
It's not YAML. It doesn't matter.
Okay, so still complains about that. That's super weird. Is environment. Did it change? No, it shouldn't have changed. I am super confused now. I mean, we can ignore it for now, right? It's not breaking anything.
Yeah, just ignore it. Just see if it builds.
Yeah.
No, don't ignore it. I'm saying, like, just see if it builds without it. Or see if it builds
I don't think it's gonna build, but let's, because it still shows as a problem, right? You know what, I might do a clean.
Yeah, but I mean, you're relying on OmniSharp, which is not the... I mean, you know, it's not necessarily going to be...
One warning. There you go, you're right. It's build succeeded. What's the warning?
So what's the warning?
The target framework that is out of support will not receive security updates. I think it's referring to the service, right?
Okay.
So, because you build both. So
okay.
.NET build.
No, maybe not.
It's actually failing. iHost environment does not contain. Did I not copy the right thing? Let's go back into the. It's like, how long do you think it's gonna take to build? 5 minutes, and then you're stuck with something weird like this for half an hour. So web host environment is development. I wonder if the namespaces are causing this.
Could be, especially if you've got old ones in there. What's at the top?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to check now. Not sure if I can do that effectively. So,
Microsoft.Extensions.Hosting. That's the one I think you need.
Ah.
Well, no, you need ASP NET Core hosting too, but you also need extensions hosting.
Yep. Good cuts. And I think that will solve the problem. Kaboom! That's what was missing. Yeah, always nice to have something to refer to, right? Documentation or otherwise. So let's hide that. Now we could run it and authenticate, but it will fail when it tries to get stuff from the API, I assume. Should we take it for a spin? What do you think, JP?
Sure.
Spin up the API first?
Yeah.
You know, the API won't work because we haven't configured the app settings for it. So let me run the to-do lists. Gonna run. Oh, what? Ah, what? Still complaining about the is development. How is that even possible? Come on, people.
Did you save the file?
God damn. You know, in Visual Studio, you don't have to worry about that because it does it for you. VS Code, you need to be explicit. Be explicit, people. .NET build, okay, .NET run. We're running. Let me see if that allows us to...
So this is the API, yeah?
No, this is the web app. I'm not running the API yet because the API won't run. It's gonna be missing the configuration settings. Remember? Just want to see if that's gonna run at all. Well, we've been prompted to authenticate there. Oh, the reply URI specified does not match the reply URLs configured in the application. That should be the right one, isn't it? So CA3E. Okay, let's go. app settings. Client ID CA3E, sign in OIDC. Right?
I can't. I couldn't see the error. What
Oh,
URI
sorry.
was it looking for?
The reply URI specified in the request does not match the one.
Grab the URL and look at. Grab the URL and see what reply URI it's generating.
Bringing it over.
Oh, it's a reprocess. Those don't typically have them in there. Well, so what reply URIs are configured in your registration?
Yeah. Don't save. So in the app registration, we have, that's the app registration here, and authentication, HTTPS localhost 5001, sign in OIDC, which is the same as the one that we have here, sign in OIDC.
And it's running on localhost 5001. It hadn't been changed or anything because it's like trying to do something different, or.
So we, you know what? It's listening on HTTP 5000, so that's why.
Well, it looks like it's HTTP 5001, which is kind of
Yep.
strange. Can't say I've ever seen that before.
Let me check. Yeah, I think that's probably me. That's probably me. That's probably me. Launch settings. HTTPS. There you have it. So let's stop this one. Let's run it. And I think it does redirect, but let's be on the safe side. Redirecting, authenticating. Aha! Invalid client. The request body must contain the following parameters: client accession or client secret. Really? Do we still need a client secret there?
Did you change the token type to code, or the response type to code?
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
If you do that, you have to have a secret.
Oh, you do?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was hoping to avoid that and not put any secrets there. Fine.
Yeah,
Let's put a secret.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you have to identify the client somehow, because otherwise it's
Sure.
implicit. So you can take
what
that
I'm
out
gonna do
into
is-
implicit.
But we'll have to go and change the authentication code, sorry, the authentication tab to do that. I mean, so we do it right. I think we should do it right and have a secret there. Although I hate secrets. I hate secrets. Okay, add. So I'm creating a secret right now. I'm trying not to dox myself. I copied it. I'm going to come back here and add the client secret. Sorry, folks, just give me 1 second. I mean, we can always change the secret afterwards, but change that. So bring it back and let's rerun the application. Run, open the browser. It should be running, so let's run it now. Redirecting, signing in. Okay. Ha! It's working. We have a liftoff. I think it's JP's, and sign out is also working. There you have it. Although I shouldn't have done that because now it's signing me out from my Active Directory as well. Okay, sign in, sign out works. Next, we just need to go and yes, you can autosave. I know that. Thanks, thanks, Bolt. So localhost 5001. Let's sign in with this one, and I can't remember the password. Thank you. So let's see. I'll just Just gonna grab my password, stick in there. Password manager for the win. Will it do two-factor authentication, security defaults? Damn you, security defaults. 793. So obviously, I'm complaining, but it's a good thing that I get two-factor authentication for not doing anything as a developer. That's the beauty. And what? That's interesting. We did change the code, and it does have a client secret. So I don't know why it is complaining about that. Huh? JP, thoughts? Do you see that? The first time that you sign in. So localhost 5001. Oh, it worked now. Don't know if it was.
We'll sign out and sign back in.
Fully sign out? Okay. Let's sign out. So localhost 5001. Select the right account. Paste the password. Sign in. Get a 2FA to work in a second. Two. Okay, we didn't get that one before. Yes. See? It happens the first time, and next time it doesn't complain about it. Why would it think it's invalid client?
Well, it's happening when the it's happening when the authorization code is redeemed. Says the client secret's invalid. Just try putting it back in. Just set it again, just to make sure it hasn't been incorrectly.
Okay. Sure. Set me. Okay. Let me. Should I create a new one then? I assume. Create a new one. Okay. There's no spaces as far as I can tell, so there's that. But let's create a new one, and then let's stick it in there and see what happens. So Active Directory, MVC Web App, new client secret, expires in 1 year. Copy. And copy the value, not the ID, because they changed the UI at some point for client secrets. Okay. Seems very similar to the previous one. Oh no, that's the right secret. Let me delete the other one. So client secrets. And now the trick will be not to check that code in again, because the IT team will come back and highlight that as a security issue. So we need to avoid checking in that client secret, which is a good case for using local secrets with .NET if you want to. So client secret is set. Let me close that file I saved. And then let's go back to our running the app. So here, like that, and let's run it again. .NET build, .NET run. I'll close this one down. Localhost 5001 redirects to HTTPS. Invalid client. Invalid client secret is provided. That's super weird.
Yeah, something's not right about that. Go back to your startup code.
Startup code.
Keep on going.
Yep. It is going.
Do that. Put that line after you configure the auth.
Oh, really? Would I not
Because
a little bit weird?
no, I'm pretty sure those get configured. And
Okay.
yeah, okay. And then it's your setting is client secret, right? Like
You
is
mean
in
in
your
the,
in your settings file, it's client Client secret,
Yeah.
right?
Let me double check. This bit me before in the past, so I'm pretty, client secret, spelled correctly.
And this is the client secret for the web app, not for the API, right?
Let's double check that. MVC web, certificates and secrets.
And this is the settings file for that?
Yeah. All the way there. So 6IF, and then I have 6IF in my client secret, so they should match. Very weird.
Was there anything in .NET Secrets or anything, or an environment that's overriding that?
We're not using the secrets anymore, so it wouldn't even be pulling it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so let's see. No, I haven't used secrets in a very long time, so it's not there. And if you look into the,
It's not used to picking out that development file?
yeah, let me see which. Oh, this one.
Mm-hmm. Well, it doesn't matter. There's nothing in there. Okay.
And then there's the CS prods file, which is here. I don't have the secret tooling at all, so even if I had something, it would be pulling it. Huh.
And does it have any, like, JSON characters that need to be escaped?
It does have some characters. Which ones are the ones that need to be escapable? Let me tell you what I have. I have dots and underscores.
That should be fine.
That
There
should
no
be fine,
curly
right?
braces or no curly braces or anything.
Nope. No curly braces, just one underscore and 3 dots and 1 dash.
Wait a
Which is
minute.
not
Say that.
escapable.
Wait, 1 underscore. You said 3 dots,
3 dots, yeah.
like an ellipsis.
No, it's 1 dot and then a few characters and then 2 dots and then some characters.
Oh, okay.
In fact, let me.
I mean, I would just do it. You just delete the secret when we're done.
Yeah. No, you mean
Yeah,
to
who
run it so
cares?
we can check it? Yeah, that's fine. So there you go. That's the secret here. We should match
Now what's
the one. No, I didn't want to pin it there. I want to pin it in this monitor here. Having 2 monitors is always fun. So here, and then I can zoom out probably. Might be able to see, but no, I didn't want to do that. So 6IF, and then it's 6IF. It was a copy paste, right? So copy from here, paste there.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
It is pretty weird. The app registration is correct. So the client ID is CA3E, and then if I come here, CA3E, the tenant is correct. I mean, this would throw up error messages if they were not right. So it's weird that it's throwing a client secret error.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. Okay, we'll do this.
Should we
Run it
change
again.
to implicit and remove the
No,
secret?
just run it again.
Okay.
Maybe, and then open it in like a private window.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so gonna run private window for the win. Just thinking about it. Okay, so we have it up. Then new private window, and then here we have .NET. Sorry, localhost 5000. Seems the right thing. The password is Hunter2. Thank you, folks. And the code is 797622. Yeah, someone stay signed in. Stupid casting. Okay, it's working.
Yeah, maybe there was some old cookie or something that was laying around. It was trying to use that use part of that data for something. So okay, so
so
it's working as expected.
It's working, yeah. So
Yeah,
the
okay,
front end
cool.
web is working. Look at that. You remember the old ASP NET early pages? This is what it is here. It's a piece of history, folks. Now, obviously, if I go to the to-do list, it's going to fail on its face because we haven't configured the API. But we can probably leave that for the next time. I mean, we can look into what changes we need to do, but I don't think we have enough time to complete that work as well.
Yep.
Okay, let's quickly just do a run-up on... so one of the things that we did not configure here, and maybe we should do that now so we can finish this, this bit, is that in the startup.cs, we need to configure the ability to acquire the tokens for the downstream API, because even though we have the token acquisition configured in the controller, it won't work because it won't know how to do that. So what we need to do, not this one, but here, is under the configuration, we need to say dot enable token acquisition for downstream APIs. This in effect tells that during the authentication, we also want to check for API permissions. So we'll do this, and then because we're going to be calling an API, we want to store or cache the access token, so we don't have to go to Azure AD every single time. And luckily, Microsoft.Identity.Web provides caching out of the box. If you are running locally and you're testing, which we'll be doing as well, then we can use the in-memory token caches. But the other options there allow you to add a session cache if you want to use sessions and be able to call things in multiple browsers, and you're running in prod, or you have a single instance running in prod, and then if you have multiple instances of that web app or that solution running distributed Kubernetes, multiple instances of web apps or multiple function APIs or whatever, then you can add a distributed token cache, which is again supported out of the box. And as long as you configure your distributed cache further up, line 24 for example, then you should be able to use it out of the box. You don't have to do anything. You just say add a distributed token cache, you pass the token cache that you instantiated before, and you're done. So here we just need to do an in-memory for now, and that's all we need in order to be able to, in our controller, go and acquire the token and be able to call the downstream API, which means that if I save this file and if I run it, should we get the prompt for the incremental consent now, JP? Would that happen now because we added that?
Depends on whether or not you've consented before.
We haven't consented before, I think, or at least that I remember of. So let's sign out from here properly. And this is the private window. Should I come out all the way? Yeah.
No, that's fine.
Too late. So late. Anyway, localhost 5000. Sign in. I have my password here handy without doxing myself, and then I need to remember to go and change my my secret in a bit. 520-409. No, 409. Yes. Oh, maybe I have consented to that already.
Yeah, that'd be my assumption. Or
Yes.
if it's not in the initial list, then you wouldn't be asked until you tried to get a token and it failed. So if you try to get a token and it fails that you need consent, then incremental consent happens. But at this point, we're not requesting one, so we don't actually know if we're gonna be able to get one or not.
Okay. So there you have it. We have the working web app. Then we just need to go back into Just. It's not Just. It will probably require a little bit of work, but it's less work because APIs in general tend to do everything in the startup. So let's have a very quick look into the startup.cs. Again, you can see we have to add authentication. That's the old OpenID Connect provider for ASP NET. And then in here we also had controllers. We had the controller. We had extensions. So this is again very similar to what we had for the web, where instead of having a UI for the user, we're working with JWT tokens, not JOT tokens. and we validate the token. And this will all be provided by Microsoft.Identity.Web, so we don't have to go and manually check for it. In fact, I don't think I even do this one here. So this one has authorized, but I'm not checking whether the user has the right scopes or the right permissions to hit this one. So we'll fix this one as well as we go through. Again, we have some code to remove and a little bit of some changes to do to the API to make it work. And this is a wrap for today's stream.
Cool.
Yeah.
So tomorrow we'll be back to continue our I don't know, theoretical look at identity, fundamentals of identity.
Yep.
So we'll be
Don't forget
tomorrow at 11 Eastern, and then we'll be back on Friday. Who's coming on Friday?
Who is coming on Friday? That's a very good question. We need to speak to our project manager, Hannah, because she's the one that manages all the coming users. But I have to, or the guests. But let me see if I can quickly find that in our planner. Usually the planner has the information we seek. We're
That's
not
fine.
that disorganized, right?
I don't know if you knew it off the top of your head, but yeah. So
you know what?
We'll be back to be back tomorrow.
First day back from holiday, man. I haven't even checked my calendar yet. I don't even know how much email I've got. Yeah. So. Anything else in the horizon? Like we have a user group as well on the 7th, which I'll be speaking at. I will provide that information later. It's free to attend, so it's another meetup. Feel free to join us if you want to hear about Microsoft Identity. What do we have? It's the one tag conference or meetup. Who do we have on the? We need to put them into the right order. 22nd, 19th. I've got quite a few people here, but I don't have the one for this Friday. Got,
it's all good. I'm sure we'll figure it out eventually. First week back.
We'll figure it out eventually.
So.
And we'll need to update our social calendar, so you should be able to find that information as part of the public calendar that we have. So we don't have to look for it. You know where to find it. And if you want to see somebody on the stream, or if you want to be part of the stream, make sure to reach out to us. We have always space for our community to come and talk and build things with us instead of us doing things like today. But today,
yeah, and thanks for all the feedback we got right before the break. There's a lot of really, really good, interesting ideas and really good feedback in there. So we'll be trying to implement as much of that as we can into the new year. So, but yeah, if you have any more feedback or anything you like or don't like, just send us an email. It's 425show@microsoft.com. And we'll be back tomorrow and then again on Friday. And hope everybody has a good, calm,
2021
easy week back to work. Cause I know I'm ready to go take a nap now. So I guess we'll see everybody tomorrow. Thanks for coming. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks, everyone.